My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of all 7 seasons between Avatar The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. And this video will have spoilers for both shows, so there's your warning. But I really dug these two shows. In the span of just a couple months of watching them, I've become a massive fan of this franchise. I think the world building is great, it's filled with great characters, the story's great, and it also deals with adult ideas that are very accessible to kids. So let's rank them, and I should say there is no bad season. There's just less good to the very best. But they're all closer in the level of quality than you might think. But the worst season between them is The Legend of Korra Season 2. Now, everybody hates this season, and I like it a lot more than most. I love the backstory of the very first Avatar and how that ties into the main plot was really well written. I love everything in the spirit world with the light spirit and the dark spirit and how the bad guy wants to become the dark avatar. I love that, and I love how he destroyed the light spirit, so Korra lost her connection to the past avatars. You really felt the stakes there, and it had weight that carried for the rest of the show. And then I loved how Genoa's spirit was taken. That entire element reminded me of Insidious, which is one of my favorite movies. And I think this season's got some great animation, the action is really good, and first I'll say the Berlin stuff made me laugh with him filming the propaganda and all that. That was great. But the Civil War storyline felt very separate from the main one. They don't connect nearly enough. But the big issue I have with this season is that Korra's an unlikable bitch. She really is. She is so mean and nasty to Mako, and it's alright to have flawed main characters, but there's a point where you take it too far, and they definitely did that here. She's abusive, and everything with the love triangle already feels played out by this point, so yes, Legend of Korra Season 2 is the worst season. The second worst season is what I actually went back and rewatched before I made this video, and it's Avatar The Last Airbender Season 1. The first time I watched it, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I said it was childish, but it got better as it went along. And now I would give it a 7.5. And I still have some issues with it. It definitely feels pretty childish, especially at the start. And I don't think it ever reaches the quality of the peak of the other seasons, but it's still consistently really good and entertaining. There's a few real gems in this season. I love it when they go to the town with the fortune teller. That is one of my favorite episodes. I think it's just perfection. I thought The Storm was a really good episode. I thought The Deserter was also a really good episode. The season finale is great, and it just worked for me much better knowing who these characters are and where they end up. When I first watched it, I thought Zuko was the most generic villain. But going back, they've actually established the character incredibly well. So I dug that aspect. It's a nice introduction. It doesn't get to greatness, but it's just a very good season. The fifth best season is The Legend of Korra Season 3. Now, the first half of this season, I didn't like at all. This entire plot of Airbenders being created again didn't really work for me, and the more I sit with it, the more I hate that plot. But they want to teach the airbenders how to airbend, and you've got a new character in Kai, and you've got these villains that just broke out of jail, and you've got this plot and that plot, and it just feels so segmented. But the second half of this season is perfection. In fact, it's some of my favorite stuff of this entire show. It is non-stop, it is thrilling, it is tense, and you really got yourself a terrific villain. I loved the moments of him and Korra talking, and the final fight is brutal, and I actually thought to myself, Korra could die here. I also like the arc Bolin goes through of him wanting to metal bend, but instead discovers his strength is lava bending. That was really great, and man, there was just so much perfection in the second half of the season that I was able to forgive the wish-washy quality of the first half. The fourth best season between these two shows, the next two were very close, but I'm going to go with The Legend of Korra Season 1. And I love 90% of this season. If the last two episodes were as strong as everything else, this could have been honestly the very best between the two shows. It just perfectly captures the opposite sides. How Amon thinks no one should be able to bend and he wants to take that ability away. And how this threat is met with an equally aggressive approach. And how the proper way to go about it is the nuance in the middle. And I think it really worked thematically. I thought everything with the bloodbending was legitimately terrifying. I loved the pro bending sport. That was a great addition to this universe. I like how it feels the same but different from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, the city of New Republic is brought to life so perfectly, and I thought Korra, Bolin, and Mac and their characters were brought to life incredibly well, and I loved Asami's storyline with her father, and there's just so much happening, and I was just like, how is this the first season? It feels like the last season because the stakes feel so high, and it bums me out the last two episodes are just shit, and they undid everything, and the backstory for the villain was pretty lame. It doesn't stop the rest of the season from being great, but man, do I wish it ended stronger. Then the third best season between the two shows is The Legend of Korra Season 4. I thought this was the strongest season for the character of Korra. She just has so much depth to her here as we just see her at rock bottom, trying to recover from the ending of Season 3. And it's a redemptive arc, and I think it's a really effective and emotional one. Korra alone is one of my favorite episodes of the show. And then you've got this terrific villain who posed a real threat. And right when I thought the stakes couldn't be higher, they introduced a giant robot, and I'm just like, this is awesome. And the last few episodes are action-packed. They have some emotion, they're tense, and they're just perfection. So you got some emotion, you got the best character work. Varric is still a great character here. You got yourself a great thread. It's just honestly a fantastic way to end this franchise. Oh, for now, I should say. The second best season between the two shows is Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 3. And okay, I love so much here, but the reason why it isn't number one is because I do not like the middle episode. I thought it was very underwhelming, and the series finale didn't really work for me. The whole dilemma of Aang not wanting to kill the Fire Lord didn't really feel earned. It felt like it came out of nowhere, and it didn't work for me in any way. It felt like a Deus Ex Machina, and even him ending up with Katara, it should have had more weight behind it. But everything else in this season is perfection, especially the character arc of Zuko. When season 2 ended, I was worried it was just going to be rinse and repeat, but they really fleshed him out here. And I loved seeing his interactions with Team Avatar, but on a more positive side, and how he slowly earns the trust of each and every one. I also love how the show is fully aware of just how formulaic it was at that point, and they poked fun at itself. I love how we see Aang trying to recover from the loss of season 2, and I like that one episode when they're all just dancing, kind of the plot of Footloose, really. And you just gain a sense that this is a character who's grown, but they still capture certain areas of the human condition perfectly, like when he can't sleep because of the battle coming up and all that. And I loved how Sokka had a bit more to do this season. I thought Katara just is a terrific character, and Toph, I like that one episode where the two are fighting. And the one bounty hunter with the third eye is a real badass. So this season just got so much right for me, and I just totally dug it. But my favorite season between the two shows is Avatar The Last Airbender Season 2. Like I said, I wasn't big on Season 1 the first time I watched it, but Season 2 just got me to fall in love with these characters and this universe, and I was really engaged with the storyline. Everything with Ba Sing Se is really effective and really well done. There's added ideas on display, but they're just approached in such a universal manner. And I thought the addition of Toph to the group and how she balanced everyone out was very needed. I love how we see the relationship of Aang and Katara develop here. I loved seeing more of Sokka. I loved seeing Aang become more of his own character. I thought Azula was an excellent threat. And it just took the foundation that season 1 laid and fleshed it out in such effective manners. Like Zuko alone is a terrific episode. This is when we started to see the greatness of the character of Zuko. I love how we get the one episode of Appa like leaving behind the trail so they always find them, and how they get tired and they start lashing out at each other, and an eventual fight between Team Avatar and Zuko against Azula. That was really satisfying. I thought the ending of this season was excellent. So this season just got so much right for me. I just think it's perfect entertainment. Great characters, some real emotion. The desert is a phenomenal episode with an ending that just really hits me hard for some reason. And yeah, I just love it. I think almost every episode is great here. They exist so well as episodic stories, but also as a cohesive story for the season. And yeah, loved it. So that's why it's my favorite season. But what's your ranking of these two shows and their 7 seasons? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.